This is the Barbados Today afternoon news for Tuesday, April 3rd. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary Claire Williams. Our top story this afternoon, opposition leader Mia Mottley is calling on civil servants to be the guardians of the country's finances in the absence of a sitting parliament. Mottley was addressing the opening of the BLP's St. Michael's South constituency office on Culloden Road last night. She noted that the 2018-2019 financial year begins today and charged that government is now free to spend money without oversight as there is no parliament.
The 3rd of April will represent the first day that this government will have the opportunity to spend from the estimates of expenditure approved in February of this year. And it represents a clear and present danger for us to have an executive continue to function without the oversight of a parliament and a functioning parliament. We're not doing anything unconstitutional because the Constitution technically allows it. But the Constitution did not contemplate that a government would seek to use this 90-day period to govern with business as usual. This country has voted almost $4 billion or more to be spent in this financial year. Typically, the warrants will come up to the Ministry of Finance, and the Ministry of Finance will send back down the monies to each government department and to each statutory corporation. I am asking the public servants of Barbados to protect the public interests. We are in dangerous, uncharted territory.
Meanwhile, the BLP candidate for St. Michael's South, Kirk Humphrey, says Barbados should not be compared to other countries when addressing the South Coast sewage crisis. Humphrey was referring to a recent statement that Barbados is not the only country to experience a sewage problem. But addressing the opening of his Culloden Road constituency office last night, Humphrey told party supporters that there are a number of reasons why Barbadians should be worried about their island.
You have to worry about your country. Why should sewage be flowing on the streets of Barbados? And when you ask about it, why should the response be that I've seen sewage in Florida? This is not Florida. This is Barbados, man. And that is not the standard by which Barbados must judge itself. You have to worry about your country, because this country that we love has now received the most amount of downgrades for any country in such a short period of time. About 21 downgrades. And we are now struggling to pay our bills. You have to worry about your country because your pension is under threat. And that which was secure for you is no longer secure. Your parents cannot rest at night because they do not know if their pension is secured. The Prime Minister has said nothing stops him from sleeping at night.
Humphrey is challenging Prime Minister Frendel Stewart for the St. Michael South seat. Commerce Minister Donville Inniss is anticipating a tough battle in this year's general election, especially between the two main political parties. Prime Minister Frendel Stewart is yet to set a date for the poll, which is constitutionally due by June. Inniss told Barbados Today he is under no illusion of a smooth ride for his Democratic Labour Party.
I would be deeply buried with my head in the sand if I believe this is going to be a walk in the park for the Democratic Labour Party. And I've said so publicly before. I am not part of the inner workings and the small team that's responsible for the Democratic Labour Party campaign. Whoever they are, I am not part of that team. I'm somewhat on the periphery, working in St. James South and perhaps in the northern part of the island. But the first thing we must accept as a political party is that after 10 years in government, the odds of being re-elected are not necessarily stacked in your favor. Secondly, with what the country has gone through in the last 8 years or so in terms of the macroeconomic issues, the societal issues, one can argue that that too is not necessarily a feather in our cap. And I've contended over the years that one of the biggest weaknesses we've had as a party and the government really is that we've not communicated effectively with the people. And I think that in our quest to retain the reins of government, we're going to have to commit to being more effective communicators with the people we serve.
Sandals Barbados could be facing possible legal action over the issue of beach access. Attorney at law and acting chairman of the Barbados Marine Trust, Lalu Hanuman, has written to the general manager, Ferry Zavinga, putting him on notice of the possible court action. In the letter dated March 29, Hanuman drew Zavinga's attention to an article published in Barbados Today headlined, "That Beach is Mine," in which the attorney accused him of committing various false and defamatory statements. Hanuman said he is particularly concerned about the portion of the article where the Sandals boss is quoted as suggesting that Hanuman was not telling the truth when he contended that one of the hotel's security guards was armed with a baton during an interaction with him on Maxwell Beach, Christchurch. In order to halt any court action, Sandals Barbados has until April 19 to tender a written public apology and to compensate the Barbados Marine Trust in the amount of $6,000 for alleged defamation.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Thank you for staying with us. We're back with news from the region. And there's another twist to the controversy surrounding the Trinidad and Tobago's recent vote against Dominica at the OAS. Port of Spain came under strong criticism last month after the country decided not to support a waiver for Roseau in its assessed quota contribution to the OAS for 2018-2019. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has now denied any knowledge of the scheduled phone call with his counterpart in Roseau, Roosevelt Skerritt. We get more in this report from TV6 News.
A report by the Caribbean Media Corporation quotes Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt as saying that a relationship between his country and Trinidad and Tobago remains solid despite a diplomatic faux pas. The report goes on to state, quote, Mr. Skerritt tells the Caribbean Media Corporation that he is expected to speak with Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley today on the issue, end quote. He says the two countries will seek to renew their solid relationship that might have come under strain following the decision by Port of Spain not to back a waiver Roseau had been seeking on its assessed quota contribution to the Organization of American States for the period 2018 to 2019. What is certain is that after the story broke last week, Prime Minister Rowley asked for a report from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on the matter. TV6 asked the Prime Minister via text message about the CMC report and whether he had spoken with the Dominica Prime Minister. Dr. Rowley responded saying, quote, I know nothing about any such meeting. I first heard it on the news and it came as a surprise to me. He said the report was either the product of irresponsible journalism or people being open to mischief from fake news purveyors.
On the international scene, the first person has been jailed as part of the FBI inquiry into alleged collusion between Donald Trump's presidential campaign team and Russia. Dutch lawyer Alex van der Zwaan has been sentenced to 30 days in prison for lying to investigators about contacts with the former Trump aide Rick Gates. He struck a plea deal in February. Van der Zwaan is the son-in-law of one of Russia's richest men. The indictment against him did not refer to the 2016 election campaign, and Trump has not been accused of any wrongdoing. Last month, the U.S. imposed sanctions on 19 Russians, including 13 people charged by Mueller's inquiry over accusations of interference in the 2016 election and alleged cyber attacks. That's news. Remember, there's more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're on Izumi Media in bus terminals and on Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also find us on Mix 96.9 FM. I am Mary Claire Williams. Good afternoon.